Wait, are we live? Oh, whoa, holy crap. Okay, well, I guess Hotsport's gonna have to come back then. All right, well, we might as well give the people what they want. Hotsport is now back in the building, people. And the Premier League season is now upon us, everybody. And we are so excited to return bigger and better than ever. We are going to be doing things that are never done in Premier League content creation. I am so excited to share this show with you guys, everyone, coming up right here on the Premier League show. Well, hello, everybody, and Hotsport is back, guys. We are back for the brand new Premier League season. We also will have the NFL kicking off there in the second week of preseason as well. So we are going to be back into full swing of things, and we are going to be bigger and better than ever. We have an announcement to make. But first, everybody, make sure you are hitting the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. Actually, since we have last been live, we have now passed the 500 sub threshold. I know to a lot of the big YouTubers, it doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, it's a big accomplishment considering I started out from zero and we're still building it. We're expecting this year to be the biggest year in terms of growth of this platform because we have done a lot of work in the background in order to collaborate and align ourselves with some of the biggest networks around. Just for those of you who have known, I've been on quite consistently now recently on the Football Terrace with Terry Flores and his amazing assistant or producer, KJ. And of course, last year, we were on every single week with Jacob Sports and Xander Kraus. That is something that we're going to expect to continue this year. So keep your eye out for me on all those several different platforms. But this is the bread and butter. This is Hotsport, and we have got so much exciting things to do. Yes, as you can see, I've upgraded some of my tools. I've got an awesome new microphone headset. So we're starting to really kick off. And man, I am so pumped to share what I have here with you. But yes, the Premier League is back. In fact, actually, we've now on Sunday. So Arsenal and Man United game is tonight, and I'm very excited for that. As well, you know, the Chelsea game against Crystal Palace will be on before that. And by the way, make sure you check out the Football Terrace as well. My good friend Terry, who has been, you know, giving me a massive boost in my career recently. He's been an awesome person to have in my corner now. And so you guys should go and check him out on the Football Terrace. I will be there tonight for his match reaction show. Arsenal against Man United. Hopefully it's after an Arsenal win, but even if we do not, I will still be there because I don't hide away from the smoke, even though you guys all might think so, considering that when Arsenal were doing bad last year, all of a sudden the Premier League show started going away. Well, there's a little bit of truth to that. I won't deny, but this year is going to be a different sort of year. And you guys aren't here to hear me rattle around about my personal projects, blah, blah, blah. You want to hear some content. So, guys, one last thing, because this is the big thing. And we are going to be doing never before seen content here for Premier League. You know, I'm lucky enough to be able to be very diverse in the content that I watch and be able to follow multiple different sports. Of course, you know that NFL is a big thing in my platform. This is the first time in a while that I've done a Premier League video. But it will not be like something that's going to be like you're not going to have to wait a lot long for your next Premier League video is what I'm trying to say. We are going to be doing segments. We're going to kind of like start off with one and then, you know, work our way over. So the Premier League show, like it was in the previous years, is not the way it's going to be now. We're doing something different. We're going to be doing many different videos, different segments, different things just to keep you guys interactive. The people love lists, and I do a lot of lists in the NFL, and I want to do lists for the Premier League. It's what works. So, guys, I'm so excited. And for those of you guys who watch the First Things First on FS1, we're going to be doing something similar, kind of like a parody to that. Hence why I'm dressed up like this. So I'm really excited. That segment, that's on the title of the video, is coming quite shortly. But firstly, I just kind of want to talk about some of the action that's gone on in the Premier League so far. And by the way, on the segment that's coming up, the segment is based off of pre-Premier League season. So all the stuff that's happened so far this weekend is not going to be impacted. That will be impacted on next week's version of that segment, which is going to be quick because it's going to be in the middle of next week. But yeah, Liverpool kicked off the season with an impressive win. I mean, it got a bit touch and go there because after they looked like they were absolutely on fire, Semenyo just fired Bournemouth back into back level, and Bournemouth have played really, really well, gave a great account of themselves, especially in the second half. But yeah, the firepower of Liverpool is something. And then, as I said in this video, it's frightening. We'll touch on it later as well. But, the newbie Ekitike popped up with a goal. Chiesa had the winner, of course, and Mohamed Salah, who's still, in his 30s and looking like a fantastic player. He's not slowing down at all. just for those of you who are waiting for him to do that, that is not what is going on. Last night, we witnessed a 0-0 draw between Newcastle and Aston Villa, and Tottenham had a really impressive start, by beating Burnley, by the way. And as well, Sunderland, a newly promoted Sunderland, destroying West Ham yesterday in their return back to the Premier League for the first time in a very long time. And we also had, draws between Fulham and Brighton. And what was it? Were there any other games? Oh, of course, Manchester City. They started off their season with a bang. And newbie Ryan Shirky capped off a 4-0 victory. And Man City just looking back to their best, really. But again, the quality of opponent needs to be taken into consideration there. But anyway, that is not what we are here for. Now, it's without further ado, guys, let me introduce to you the segment that I'm very, very excited to do. So, as we said, first things first. I have to, because I'm towing the line here a little bit in terms of, you've seen how I do it with my top 10 list, and I have the NFL music, and even that is towing a lot of lines. But this, I want to make sure very, very clearly that this is, while this is an original idea for the Premier League, this is not an original idea. In fact, a lot of the graphics and segments I'm kind of I've still made it on my own, but I have copied it, copied the Premier, copied FS1. So it's a parody off of what is Nick Wright's Nick's Tears, but I'm going to be calling this segment as we get ready for this segment. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Gathered to burn the midnight oil while enjoying some overnight Premier League action, we compiled the first ever segment of this kind in the history of Premier League content creation. Guys, welcome to the very first time ever, it's Anton'S Tears. Well, yes, thank you. I am very excited now to show you Anton'S Tears. Yes, we will not discount the game that occurred last night. Sorry, I should be turning the volume down a little bit. We're not including the games that happened last night or the night before that. This was compiled. Okay, me and all the committee members came together and said, let's forget about these games last night. Who are the best teams in the Premier League? Who are the worst teams in the Premier League? How do we rank them? And we decided to come up with a tier system. A lot of back and forth, a lot of arguing, a lot of coffee. A lot of barking, by the way, from our canine members of the committee. Trust me, my dog Bengo knows his stuff. He's a big Newcastle fan, actually. But he was not very happy with last night, and he wanted to know why Alexander Isak was not playing for Liverpool. Like, I just got to tell you. Anyway, let's start. Bottom row of the tiers. I call this one the struggle for survival. So, of course, in this tiers, we have the three newly promoted sides, Burnley, Leeds, and Sunderland. Now, of course, they cannot just jump above the bottom part of the tier. When you enter the league, you have to somewhat earn your right to jump up the ladder. You got to start from the bottom and work your way up, right? But notably as well, at the bottom of the struggle for survival tier, I've got Brentford. Look, you see how good of a coach Thomas Frank is. Just by the way, Tottenham played yesterday and played actually in pre-season as well. So him leaving is a big thing, of course, as well. Not just that, they lost Anton'S a year ago. They've lost what's it called? Brian Mbeumo gone to Manchester United. They're gonna lose Wissa. He's looking most likely to be gone. Christian Norgard is already at Arsenal. And if I'm missing any other of their key departures, it's a massive hit. Like, honestly, they are now a bottom 5 team in terms of talent and quality, and that is why they're in the struggle for survival tier. And as well, Fulham. Look, Fulham are the only team in the Premier League that has not signed anybody this summer. It's not like they were an amazing team last year. Now, last night they did manage to come back from behind and get a last-minute winner, which is great for them. But I still think that they are going to be there and thereabouts, battling against relegation, and that's why I have them in the struggle for survival here. Up next, mid-table mediocrity. That's right. These are the teams that literally, typically, nobody gives a crap about. And some of these teams have been ravaged in the summer. Crystal Palace still somewhat has their people intact, but that doesn't seem like that's going to last for long. Eberechi Eze looking like he's about to go away to Tottenham, unfortunately. I would have loved to have him at Arsenal, but he looks like he's on his way to Tottenham. And basically, Bournemouth lost first choice centre back pairing. They've now lost 2 wingers as well this week. And of course they've lost their keeper, Kepa Arrizabalaga, who's now the backup in Arsenal. Although Petrovic is going to be a pretty good replacement, I'm not going to lie. But look, I just don't see them making noise in terms of the top half of the Premier League. That's the end of the day. Like, what's the difference between top half of the Premier League or not? And these teams just don't quite make the cut. West Ham have just been struggling. West Ham, if you look on this title list. That way, by the way, I just want to clarify that I know Nick Wright gets this problem on his tiers. We are not working from left to right here. There's no particular order. If anything, we're actually working in alphabetical order going on this tiers. We've literally, the idea of a tiers is that we've grouped teams, so we're not putting one above another, because it's kind of like they're kind of like of a similar quality. That's the idea of the tiers. And so West Ham are looking bad. I had big hopes for West Ham last year, and it's got off to a rocky start already. I mean, imagine, losing, not just losing, but losing 3-0 to the team that qualified for the Premier League via the play-in, the playoffs last year. Like, really? But you got to give it to Sunderland, as we should have mentioned at the bottom. They did a good job really recruiting, which is kind of what you got to do if you want to be one of those teams that come up and then stay up. In this tier, by the way, is, as well as we mentioned, Crystal Palace. I think it's pretty obvious there. Eze is probably going to be on his way out. Gay, could be on his way out. A lot of teams like Wharton, although I expect him to stay this year. But at the same time, Crystal Palace, kudos to them. They have now beaten Man City and Liverpool both at Wembley, and they are doing they are really doing good justice for themselves. So they might be losing some talent, but it's like they're going out with a bang, and they still have a team that has potential to ruffle a few feathers, but they're just not top half of the Premier League material, especially if they're losing Eberechi Eze. Now, it would be a different scenario if Eberechi Eze were to stay or if Mark Gahey were to stay, but I just don't see how Crystal Palace make it into the top half of the table. And the other one is Everton, and Everton could easily drop into that struggle for survival tier. They brought in Jack Grealish, was a bit of a notable addition. Again, this is like a shadow of the Everton I used to know under David Moyes. Now David Moyes is back. They've also lost a few key players as well. Mainly, also their striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin left as a free agent. He's now at Leeds. There are a few others. Doucouré is gone. So yeah, again, just not a top half of the Premier League side. In fact, if anything, they're probably one of the sides on here that's more at risk of dropping into that struggle for survival tier below, if any were those to come up. Another team I would put in that category is Wolves. Now look, Wolves have also been ravaged. They lost Mateus Cunha, who was their big boy, like their main star, and he's now gone. So as well, I also just got to tell you, Wolves have the worst defense in the Premier League, and last night did not disprove that theory whatsoever. So I'm still looking really good. Like, imagine they came on here like they're the worst defense in the Premier League and they kept a clean sheet last night. But no, they went to play against the best offense and the best defense, and they got absolutely shredded. City had no problem. They were 4-0 up and comfortable with at least 20 or so minutes left in the ball game. So yeah, Wolves are mid-table mediocrity. Again, kind of struggling to maybe even stay in this one. I know the community members had an argument, do we put in, is it Brentford or Fulham or Wolves? And we decided that we would keep Wolves, but they could have easily been in the struggle for survival tier easily. Moving on, we took way too long for, the mid-table mediocrity. Conference chasers, that's right. So what that means is that these teams, the best that they can hope for this season, in my opinion, is qualifying for the Conference League. And that could also be qualifying for the Conference League via finishing in 6th or 7th. So potentially, top 6, right? Qualifying for 6th or 7th. If, like last year, the Premier League has 5 spots in the Champions League, the 7th place teams, maybe 2 of these teams, one of these teams goes to conference and the other one goes to Europa. But anyway, who are these teams on here? I got Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa, they haven't really improved their team. They had a lot of really good players on loan that really contributed to this team last season, and I just don't see them there for them this time around. Like they had last year, Marcus Rashford. They had what was his name? Marco Asensio. A lot of really good players in there. By the way, it looks as well that Leon Bailey is on his way out. They just lost late Jacob Ramsey. So this is a team that's having to sell due to PSR issues and not really bring in. They brought Gassand in. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I know much about this guy, to be honest. It's not moving mountains or shaking trees. I still expect them to be a top half contender in the Premier League this year, but I just do not see them being, a top 6 team. And of course, Brighton Hove Albion. Look, Brighton is always kind of in and around this conversation. I think they are safely and securely here. But talking this much after a very long time off makes me thirsty. All right. And the other one, look, the committee struggled a lot with this one, especially with rumors swirling around a certain striker who plays for a team in a different tier, the tier above, which we are yet to reveal. That's why I'm talking in that way. Without, we were kind of like back and forth, and we almost had them in the tier above that we're going to see, but they just somehow, with Man United, I just think we just got to kind of see it happen. We thought maybe they might get Baleba. It looks like that's not happening. The team in their tier, Brighton, it seems like they're going to be keeping him. And I still think that they haven't bolstered really their midfield or the defense, but they're going to be much improved in the attack. But it's kind of like a team that's very, very good in attack now, but pretty weak at the end, and Nonana is still the goalkeeper as well. I wonder if they're going to deal with that in the transfer window. We're going to see. I've spoken to a lot of United fans recently, and a lot of them agree with me that they are here in this tier, unfortunately. And yeah, so they're here. And the other one, last conference chaser we have, is a team that was almost in the Conference League last year, now gets to play in the Europa League. And that's Nottingham Forest, a team that really, really pulled up trees. Oh, man, I love that. Forest, trees. The logo's a tree. Last year, and they threatened to really finish in the Champions League places. And what a coup for them to keep Morgan Gibbs-White as well. Fantastic for Nottingham Forest. I think they've actually been very, very busy in the last few days of the transfer window. I just actually kind of want to go over this for a second, because I've actually noticed that they have been the most active team in the window, low-key, the last couple of weeks stuff. They actually brought in Colin Lewendo, who Brentford wanted to bring in to replace Wissa. They actually ended up going there. They got Omari Hutchinson, who just brought in James McAtee, is going to come on loan from Man City. And earlier in the year, they got some of the Botafogo boys who starred at the Club World Cup. Igor Jesus, who was the main man for Botafogo, and Jair Cunha, who's probably the best defender. Like, the best two players on Botafogo both went to Nottingham Forest through that connections, of course, with Edu, who's formerly of Arsenal. And then, of course, you have, they brought in Dan Ndoye on the left wing to replace Alenga, who went out. So I think they've done a lot of really good work here to kind of maintain their spot. But at the end of the day, it's just maintenance. They just don't happen to be as strong, maybe, as just some of the ones ahead of them. And let's kind of explain to you why. Next up, come on, European dreams. That's right, teams a dream of playing in Europe. But unfortunately, that is the ceiling here, because the two tiers above are the teams that I would, say are going to be challenging for the Premier League, the best three teams in the land. The European dreams. Look, Tottenham are back in there. They actually won the Europa League last year. Tottenham, who actually finished all the way in 17th. So think about it. Look at this tier. Last year, they would have been in the struggle for survival tier. And yet now I have placed them like, 3 tiers above in the European dreams. Like, I think they've done great. I mean, look at the way they're looking, like I said, under Thomas Frank. I think he suits them perfectly. And the players that bring in, Mohamed Kudus look absolutely brilliant. Richarlison looks like he's back to his blast. Like, I was looking at the lineup and I was like, why is Richarlison ahead of Solanke in the starting 11? And Thomas Frank clearly knows what he's doing, because that's what he did. And again, it looks like they're about to bring Eberechi Eze. My heart freaking sinks every time I say that. But yeah, look, Tottenham are in there. And again, Newcastle are in there until further notice, because Alexander Isak, man, that I feel bad for them, because again, Eddie Howe, every single time he gets up to the press conference, we're all talking about Alexander Isak. I was on their post-match reaction show on the Terrace last night, and I was like going on about Alexander Isak, because that's just the easy thing to pick off. Like, I literally watched this game last night, like, what do they look like without Alexander Isak? So let's see, because if they can keep Alexander Isak and get him back on board, and shake hands and forgive and move on, and maybe say, look, maybe next year we'll try to get you a good move, but we just can't bring anyone in right at the moment, because the truth is that whatever they bring in now, I know a lot of Newcastle fans telling me last night, it was really nice to talk about them and learn about Newcastle and the way they saw. They saw that game very differently than I. But look, they believe that another striker could come in and do something similar, and if that's the case, then they will maintain their spot in the European Dreams tier. Now, I should say before we move on, and we're going to talk about the other team in this tier, but I just want to also clarify one more thing. This list is fluid, so this list is not the way we feel the Premier League is necessarily going to end. It is the way we feel it's going to end in this point in time, but teams can play themselves up and down the tiers, move themselves into different tiers. We might even increase the amount of tiers as teams sort of separate themselves from each other. So we're doing a tiers list every single week. This is the first of 38 tiers list that we're going to do. We're going to even do one right towards the end. I think we're going to even do, some really fun things here with this. Change the names of the tiers every single week. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to do a lot of other segments similar to this one in the future. This is just kind of the first to kick us off. This is not even a preview for the Premier League because I'm just too late on that. But this is just kind of what it is, bread and butter. This is what I want to do that nobody else is doing, something that's original. Anyway, Chelsea on the European Dreams. I've made this very, very clear to everyone, and I said it on the Top 6 show the other day. Chelsea are not the top 3 best teams, but there's a gap between the top 3 best teams and Chelsea, and there's a gap between Chelsea and everybody else. So I think Chelsea are firmly going to probably be the 4th place team in the league. Now, they do have incredible upside. Like the way they've been playing in preseason, they've been looking incredibly exciting, especially in attack. It seems like they've got some really good team chemistry going, even with the new guys. Willian Esteval, I'm excited to see him in the Premier League. He looked good in the friendlies that he played. They brought in João Pedro from Brighton, and he has been pulling up trees, guys. Like, he came in and literally won them the Club World Cup right away. Made his debut for Chelsea in the semi-final, and then helped them win it in the final. And then when they went into preseason, he just continued his form and just kept firing. Like, yeah, I think this guy's about to hit his peak. He's about to explode, honestly. But yeah, that's Chelsea. I think, yeah, that project is ticking along. I think in the past I have ridiculed it. I have criticized it. But look, you're starting to see the fruits of the labor there. You know, those players that were young and we made fun of are now starting to mature. And Cole Palmer just keeps getting better every year. And he is just a man for the moment. You know, I think there's no more one-season wonder stuff going on with him. He's now done it 2 years in a row. He scored in a final in both the Club World Cup and in the Euros. So, yeah, Chelsea are looking really good. So they could push the Champions League, for title challengers. And if they do, we will adjust these tiers accordingly. As I said, the list is so fluid. All right, next up, come on, guys. Challengers. So these are not quite the top of the crab, the team that was the favorites to win the league. These are the teams that are the most likely to push them. Arsenal, obviously, my club, Arsenal, has finished second in 3 seasons running. We finally got ourselves a striker, Victor Gyökeres. I don't know if you can hear me with mask. We finally got ourselves a striker. I like a lot of the moves that we've done. I've been excited by a lot of them. I actually like Christian Mosquera a lot as a young centre back, potentially to come fill in. I love Martin Zubimendi. Martin Zubimendi has been controlling the midfield. He changes the pace of matches. It's absolutely fantastic the way that Martin Zubimendi operates. And I'm really excited to see him in the Premier League. Now, a lot of questions going on about his availability tonight because he didn't take part in the media. There must be some sort of personal thing going on with him, but I do hope and I do expect him to play tonight against Manchester United. And we're going to see kind of how this comes together. Last game against Bilbao, we finally started to click. Yes, Arsenal, right? Yes, I'm an Arsenal fan. We started to click finally. Noni Madueke, again, that's the one that I just don't know. Just because now it looks like we're missing out on Eze. Here we're going to rant. Here we go. We're just going to start ranting. Eze, who we thought was, assuming he was going to be an Arsenal player, is now looking like he's literally on the cusp of signing for Spurs. Like, that is going to be embarrassing, and I'm not running away from that. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to rewrite history. That's not me. You know that. That is not the way I operate. I do not rewrite history. So I'm a bit disappointed in that. Let's see if we can add anybody. We need to address the left because, look, again, I think these challengers and these favorites tiers still are very much in the balance as the window is still open. There are some big hitters, mainly Isaac and Rodrigo, who are still available now on the market. that if any of these teams, now Arsenal's not getting Isak. We know the one team that's going to be going for Isak. I'm saying Rodrigo, though, could be battled between Arsenal and the other team, Manchester City, by the way, who looked absolutely fantastic. I actually picked Manchester City on the top 6 show and to be the champions, to do a bit something different, because at the end of the day, Pep Guardiola is the GOAT outside of Sir Alex. I'm talking about the modern day GOAT. I mean, literally, this guy did something nobody ever done before, just like making a tears. He won 4 straight Premier League. I'm trying to find the one thing that me and Pep have in common, doing stuff that's never been done before in the Premier League. Big ups to Hotsport. Big ups to Pep Guardiola. But yeah, look, and again, last night they clicked Rangers on the score sheet, Turkey on the score sheet, Haaland continuing what he does all the time. But let's see, is that defense clicking? Rico Lewis could be at the door. That's a big question. Like on the right back, like who is going to be starting at right back? I'm pretty sure it was Nunez who started. Let me actually head into this quickly. Come on, how quickly can I do this? Who was the starting 11 last night? I'm not going to lie. This game was very, very early on in the day for me. And I really need to sleep. I'm already lacking sleep. I've been up in the middle of the nights, and then we got another long, long, long night to go tonight, of course, because my club is finally playing. All right, Wolves and City. Let's go. What's the lineup? Because who played? Yeah, Rico Lewis actually started. But he is looking like he's on his way to Nottingham Forest. See, there's another one that Forest looks like they're really, really like going after. But yeah, Shirky came off the bench. I imagine that Mateus Nunez is the guy who's going to be leaning on. But I honestly, I saw that. I'm like, wait, because they were linked with Tino Livramento. That was the K9 member of our tiers. Bengo, please be quiet. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so look, beyond that, look, you have Jan Kawoto. He's a plays right back. Look, apparently he's a good young hot prospect. I wonder if he's going to figure a lot for Man City. Was he on the bench last night? I wouldn't imagine so. He was not. But let's see. And there's also a chance that they can dip into the transfer market as well for such talent. So we will have to see on that. So there are questions about them going defensively, but offensively, they are the best. I think they have the best attacking unit in the league. I think they've had that for a long time. I think last year again was just a very, very weird season. I think for a lot of the teams, I think a lot of the teams played below par last year, which allowed the team that is currently the champion, which is why they are on the top of the tiers the first week of the season, the favorites, and it has to be. You're the champs until you beat the champs, right? So until further notice, Liverpool have to be at the top of the tiers because they are the champions. And not only that, they are a champion that decided that they wanted to just get better. Like they brought in Florian Wirtz, broke the Premier League transfer record, to get Florian Wirtz, the best attacking midfielder in the world. I say that with no hesitation. I'm not going to change my narrative just because somebody goes to a Premier League rival. I would have told you that last year when he was at Leverkusen. I thought he was the best number 10 in the world. And now he's going to play for freaking Liverpool. And not just that, they might go ahead and add, break the record again to get Alexander Isak. Like that is scary times for the league, honestly. We are literally teetering on the edge of, as it stands, we have a competitive league to maybe we have another, like the Premier League cannot have another runaway winner. I'm sorry, we cannot. I say that with personal reasons as well for being an Arsenal fan. But I would say that for the brand, because everyone's so excited, all the big signings across the league, especially the big six, making statement signings this window. We can just not allow one team to run away with it, but it's looking like that's what's going to be happening. Of course, they've revamped their fullback position. Trent left, They brought in Jeremy Frimpong. They brought in Milos Kerkas on the other side, who of course made his debut against his former club the other day. So again, I actually wasn't really impressed with that pair against Bournemouth. I thought Liverpool looked very, very open defensively. Virgil van Dijk struggled through preseason, struggled Community Shield, and struggled on Friday. So that's something to definitely keep your eye out for. The depth at the moment is something that is questionable, but I believe that they are going to address it. I still think that they're going to add probably another defender. Probably they still need some like depth out wide in the front line. Like they outside of young Rio, they only really have Chiesa, who is a depth in defense. They have one striker, Hugo Ekitike. They got Salah, and they got Gakpo. That's like they got those starters. But what if those one guys get injured? You're starting Chiesa every week, or you're starting Rio. Now, a lot of hype about Rio. There's a lot of hype about what's his name? My main man, Max Dallman. But these are teenagers. They can't expect those guys to come in and deliver you a Premier League title. That's just unrealistic. So they're gonna have to go. They still do, like, people are calling them greedy. They still do need to do work. But my thing is, I don't know if they need to do Alexander Isak work. I think they need to do depth. Get themselves a backup to Ekitike, because Ekitike is coming out playing really, really good. But I digress. The Liverpool, that's why. See what I mean? You see the fear in my voice? You see how triggered I am? You really realize why I've been going after Liverpool fans all summer in my social medias? Because they're up there. They're the big dogs right now. I used to do it with City. Now I'm doing it with Liverpool. Like, they're the big dogs. And that's why they're the top of the tier. So there we go. Thank you very much, everybody, for paying attention. I hope you guys enjoyed that. My tiers. The music can go off. Wait, we'll just let this news finishing out. But anyway, we will be continuing. We'll be doing more segments like this. I think I'm loving the here you go. I'm loving the First Things First segments. I've always liked that show. I've loved how fun and engaging it is, and how so many people just enjoy. It's like got these fun vibes. It's not always too serious. We're not sitting around arguing with each other or just giving you silly banter. Like, instead, I'm delivering you facts in a fun way, right? And one thing I'm just going to tell you, nothing I am going to be sharing with you in any of these segments, this is kind of what I'm building my brand off of, is bias opinions. I am compiling lists purely off the facts, purely off of stats, purely off of being objective. Now, I have other platforms in which I can, go on and share my fandom. Like, I'm very much going to be representing Arsenal this year on the terrace, of course, with Jacobs and with Xander when we're covering the NFL and the Eagles. That's an Eagles Philadelphia Brace channel. We'll be talking about the Eagles. And yeah, guys, let me know kind of as well what kind of other content ideas that you would like me to try as well. I want to do a bunch of different things. I want to try to do a podcast about Arsenal only, a podcast about the Eagles only, because of course, those are my teams. Those are the ones that I can get more into. But in terms of all this kind of shared, I love talking about all the teams and following all the teams. It's kind of my thing. I love doing it in NFL, and I want to achieve that sort of thing with the Premier League. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very fun season. I promise. This is my promise. I will never miss a week of content again this year. Even if it's a busy week, I will promise to at least get one video out. All right, that's my dedication, guys. This channel is about to take off and grow. I apologize somewhat for leaving you guys high and dry. I mean, I haven't made a podcast since April, in which it was an NFL draft show. That was my first ever collaboration, first ever podcast, like with a guest. So, and I want to do so many more of that. I want to get some panels in here as well. I want to like increase as the season goes on. Just keep taking this content to the next level. So we've done the tiers today. The tiers will remain every single week, and we are going to try to do the tiers that evolve it. Like, you know how how in how in First Things First, they do they have like after he's done, they all just go and rip it apart and like, oh, I think he could have changed this or changed that. You know, you got Broussard up in there. Yeah, that's kind of the idea that I kind of want to go with as this thing evolves. Right now, you know, we're starting just me. We're gonna add another segment later on this week. So we're gonna kind of go in one segment, two segment. We're gonna build it up. So guys, I really hope you guys enjoying all of I hope you guys enjoyed today. We'll be back. We're going to be, again, as I said, on tonight on the Football Terrace. Make sure you go to the Football Terrace with Terry after Arsenal against Manchester United. I will be there. I kind of made my match reaction debut last night, but it was talking about Newcastle. Like now we get to talk about Arsenal. So I'm very excited. This is kind of like what was doing last year with Jacob, but I think in a whole other level as well. So yeah, I'm very excited for everything. This channel is now building. I know it's funny. I've taken a break, but I feel like in that break, I've done very critical work, background work to grow this channel further. So again, we're at 522 subs as of today. So guys, hit the subscribing button. Make sure you're liking the video. Please, it helps me out a lot. I'm never going to sit here and beg for likes, but you know what? That is what makes this channel grow. And, you know, you just come by. If you're watching this video, you know, it takes half a second. Hit the damn like button, all right? I'll have this. What's the thing here? Yeah. Oh, it's not even there. Okay. Anyway, yeah, hit the like button anyway on the way out. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we will see you guys. Come on, you Gunners, tonight, by the way. Man, what do you guys think, by the way, before I leave? Before I leave? Let me guys let you know your feedback on the tiers. Let me know your feedback on the tiers. Would you do anything different? Do you have any feedback for the committee that we can bring back and discuss? Because that is what this community is about. It's not just my view. I'm making the content here to start the conversation. So let's have that conversation in the comments section. Hopefully, you know, we can get a lot of a live chat going as we move on as well. So I'm very excited to see where this project is going to grow. Anyway, guys, I've talked about too much. It's just because it's been a long time without you guys that I'm finally back here, and I'm excited to share everything and keep you guys your eyes peeled. So like, again, turn on the notification bells to see when the videos come on as well. Once more time, hit the like and subscribe, and we will see you on the flip side. Anton out.